Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is how to write a quadratic equation from information about the quadratic. So there's a few different ways that we've studied this. One way is if you have solutions. So say you know that x is equal to 1/2 and -5. And probably the simplest way to get an equation from those solutions is to work backwards. Think about how they got each solution, like x equals 1/2. Usually we take a factor and set it equal to 0, and when we solved that, we got this 1/2. So we're going to kind of undo the solving process. So we're going to multiply by 2. We're going to bring things back over to x, so to speak, and then subtract 1. And then we can kind of see that the factor they must have set equal to 0 must be 2x minus 1, and that would be one of our factors. The other solution is x equals -5. If I work backwards from there, I would see that they probably set x plus 5 equal to 0, and that x plus 5 was the other factor. So my equation is this. If they want it written in standard form, I would just multiply the two factors together. So I'd get 2x squared plus 10x minus x minus 5, which gives me an equation of 2x squared plus 9x minus 5. So that's one way to write the equation of a quadratic. Another one that I'm going to refer you to your beginning progressing mastery quizzes, there's one on there like this, would be if they gave you 3 points. So if they say a parabola passes through like 0, 5, 1, -2, and 3, -8, that you would then build a system of equations based on this information using this setup. So knowing that an equation can be built this way and that every x is paired with a y, so when y is 5, x must have been 0. And then if y was -2, then x must have been 1. And if y is -8, then x must have been 3. And then we would take these equations, which the first one would end up saying like 5 equals c. The second one would say -2 equals a plus b plus c. And the third equation would say -8 equals, sorry, I forgot my squared right here. So it would say 9a plus 3b plus c. And you would solve this as a system of equations to get your a's, b's, and c's. And once you found those a's, b's, and c's, you would have your coefficients for your equation in these spots of the equation. The third way I'm going to talk about building an equation is if they give you the vertex and a point. So let's say they told us that the vertex is at -2/3, 4, and that it passes through a point 1, -3. If they give you the vertex, that tends to make me want to use vertex form, because remember, in vertex form you have your h and your k, and I can immediately plug those into my equation. So I'm replacing h with -2/3 and k with 4, and that minus -2/3 ends up being plus 2/3. So I have this equation, and really the only thing I'm left to find is a. And then, very similar to what we were looking at before, remember what a point is telling you. A point is telling you that this x comes with this y. They're kind of a package deal. So I can replace y with -3 in the equation as long as I replace x with 1. And though this might not look super friendly, this is an equation now where a is the only thing left to solve for. So if you can get through the fraction arithmetic, then you can solve for a. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 plus 2/3. If you struggle with that, go off to the side, build your common denominators. So I see that that's 5/3. And then I'm going to square that 5/3. So when I square 5/3, that's 25/9. And then I'm going to work on solving for here. Remember, we're solving for a. So to get a alone, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 4. I'm going to have negative 7 equals a times 25 over 9. And then the next thing I want to do is cancel that 25 over 9 so that a is alone. So I'm going to multiply by 9 times 25. And I get that a is equal to negative 63 over 25. And that's not a super friendly number, but that's what it is in this case. So my vertex form of my equation is then an a value of negative 63 over 25, and then x plus 2/3 because of that h value squared, and then plus 4 because of my k value, and this is my equation. So that kind of covers the different ways that we would write equations with different pieces of information. So hopefully that's helpful.